So I ask myself, why am I doing this? And selfishly, I'm doing it for my family, our family, and I'm doing it for the 22 who died on the 22nd of May 2017 as a sort of way of respecting them. And I'm also doing it for the 20,000 sort of mums and dads and nannies and granddads and young people and boys and girls who left the arena and went home, back to their loved ones. And so that's kind of my thinking of the last sort of month or so after that day as to why I might sit down and just sort of document this. My name's David, and on the 22nd of May 2017, 20,000 of us sort of travelled from the four corners of the UK and some even further afield to be under one roof, to go to the Ariana Grande concert in Manchester. And we all went there for different reasons and motivations, and this is about how we, that's me and my son, found ourselves at that concert. What was it that got us from our home and our family to Manchester that day? And it started, as they always do, it started sort of years before. We used to sit down, the family, and watch TV. And as some of you will know, there's a program called Sam and Cat, and there's another program then called Victorious. And in those two shows, in those two series, there's Ariana Grande looking very sort of ditzy and cute. And that was kind of my first sort of exposure of this actress at the time. And it was from there that we'd sit down and laugh about this whole sort of program. And then from there, my son and my daughter started checking out the music and the videos and going from there, and it was great. And then for Mackenzie's 13th birthday in December 2015, my wife and I bought him this really large sort of black and white Ariana Grande poster for his bedroom, and he was really excited, and he put it up on his poster, he put it up on his wall, I should say, and up it went, and it was great. And then from then on, it was downloading all the tunes, and we just listened throughout 2016 to Ariana Grande tunes and the videos, and she starred in Netflix series, and it was just part of our lives as we got on with our lives. We've got 4 children, etc. And then for 2016, in the summer of 2016, we heard that there was possibly going to be a tour, an Ariana Grande tour of sort of Europe, if not a world tour, and tickets would be on sale soon. So we're really excited about this and thought, my wife and I thought it'd be great if we could get some tickets for one of the shows in the UK. And eventually there was an announcement in sort of September, October of 2016 that there's going to be the Dangerous Woman tour, and tickets will be available soon. So we kept our ears to the ground, and eventually there was an announcement, and we were fortunate. We booked 2 tickets, and there was lots of places we could have gone to, and the dice sort of fell, and Manchester was available. Bought 2 tickets for Manchester, 22nd of May 2017. We bought the tickets in sort of October, and we decided we would give the 2 tickets, so I would go with Mackenzie to Manchester. We thought we'd give him the tickets on his next birthday, his 14th birthday. So it'd be great, so December. So December came, and we gave him the tickets. Here you are, 2 tickets, Ariana Grande, 22nd of May 2017. So then really it was countdown then So from from December, it was Christmas, and then January, February, March, April. A month ago, I booked a hotel so we could stay over after the concert, and all very exciting. And then Monday morning, we set off. Said goodbye. Said goodbye to the kids. Gave my wife a big hug. Mackenzie sort of gave his mum a big hug and said, "Oh, we'll phone you when we get to the hotel, and we'll phone you before we go into the concert." And off we drove, to Manchester, and it was good fun. We had a great time, and we made really good time. We got to the hotel, and we booked in, and we sort of chilled for an hour or so and got some food and just generally had a good time. Changed. Mackenzie was really keen to sort of like just get into town and just check out what's going on in town, because social media was just sort of buzzing. People were flying in and people were already in town and they were hooking up and everything. So we changed and we went into town, and I thought, oh, come on, we'll walk through town. And we walked through the Arndale Centre, and I sort of said to Mackenzie, "Oh, did you realise that 25 years ago this place was bombed? The IRA just sort of blew this place up." And he said, "Oh, wow, that sounds really heavy, Daddy." It absolutely was, and we were walking through there and everything. We said, well, let's just go down to the arena and just check out where it is, past the station, and there it is. It's up on, it's high up, and you've got to go up lots of stairs and everything. This is about sort of 3 o'clock and everything. And I said, oh, we've got plenty of time. Let's just sort of have a walk around. In fact, indulge your father here, and let's go and check out where the Hacienda nightclub used to be in the 80s, etc. Now, I knew it'd been knocked down and was now a sort of, I think, apartment block, etc. So we made a bit of a detour, and I took a photograph of the sort of hacienda, a sort of homage of a bygone day, let's say. And then we went back into town, and we sort of checked out and went up and sort of got some food, and just sort of got a sense of what was going on in Manchester. And there was lots of young people just everywhere, walking through the streets. Generally, you just knew where they were going, and it was just really this lovely vibe, and there was mums and dads with their kids, in sort of all the different sort of fast food restaurants and everything, just waiting. There were kids up in restaurants putting their makeup on and changing into their glad rags and basically having a great time. So about 6:30 we made our way to the arena. So let's get into town, and let's get to the arena and queue up. And there's a queue there already, and if you see it, there's a steps going up to the doors, etc. And I had a camera on me. I had this really nice camera, and I put it in a rucksack and everything, and I didn't know whether we were allowed to sort of take camera in, and so Mackenzie had the camera in his rucksack and everything, and we queued and we snaked slowly but surely up the stairs, to the top, to the door and everything. And there's all the security, and we showed our tickets, and they swiped your ticket and swipe you in. And it's like no one checked, my bag, and then Kenzie was carrying the rucksack, and we just walked straight on in, and we were in, and there was thousands behind us and thousands in front of us, and it was about 6:30, 7:15, and it was relatively early, and we were just in, and the buzz was great and electric and everything, and we sort of they weren't letting people up into the auditorium yet, so we took a few photographs of us waiting around sort of 205, 206, which was our entrance, etc. And there's some real photographs of us, and there's a photograph of Mackenzie looking at the merchandise and everything. And we were just sort of really just having a lovely time. And the whole place was just, a feeling of joy. It really was, sort of very special sort of vibe. And there was nannies and granddads and mums and dads and little girls and boys and some really beautiful peacocks. Some of the just walking around, strutting their stuff, etc. And just all just coming together, congregating under this one roof. The doors eventually opened, and up we went to find our seats. And we, to cut a long story short, we sat down and we waited, and slowly but surely the auditorium filled up, and we were really high up. I've been up on sort of 205, 206, looking down, and we could see people slowly but surely getting to their places. And we were talking about the warm-up acts and everything, and they were coming, and they came on and everything. And I can remember saying, "Look, Kenz, I'm just going to go downstairs a minute. I'm going to get a drink and everything. Ariana Grande's not coming on for about another hour or so. I'll go downstairs. You stay here. I'll go and get a drink and everything." So I queued for a long time downstairs, and I got a sort of pint of beer, and I thought, "Oh, we'll have some beer, you know." So I brought it back up, and we sat up, and I came back, and we sat there. We drank this beer together, which was kind of naughty, you know. But what the hell, you know? It was good. It was son and father together. And then it was kind of showtime, you know, and then the lights went down and the screams went up, and Ariana Grande came out with, you know, on her own, and then with the dancers and everything. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful vibe. And I've been to lots of concerts over the years, you know, and I've seen them. And this was just a totally different vibe, you know. There was mums and dads with their 8-year-olds next to us, little daughters, and then it was their first gig and everything. And there was then there was me, sort of seasoned, sort of gig, sort of concert goer, just really getting off on this, you know, sort of slick performance and everything. And it went on, and, you know, the great vocal, and the, you know, the choreography, and the great production, and, you know, the projections on the back, because we were quite sort of way back. Projections on the stage were great, and it was all, you know, pretty amazing, really. And everyone was happy. There were 2 girls in front of us, like twins, and they dressed the same, and they had earpieces, and they had glasses on, and they had Ariana Grande t-shirts on, and they were hugging and dancing and looking around and smiling at us. And there was just this beautiful sort of vibe going on, and you know, Mackenzie was like really excited. He sort of stood up and he said, "Oh, take a few photographs of me," and I did, etc. We, you know, got the camera out of the rucksack, etc. We were taking a few shots, and I was sort of taking a few photographs, etc. and having a great time. And then, you know, and it was just beautiful, and the lights were up, and it was great. And then the pink balloons, you know, sort of dropped onto to the crowd below. We felt a bit jealous because we couldn't reach the pink balloons, big balloons everywhere, and everyone was sort of laughing. A few were sort of popping and everything. And then the show sort of came to an end. And I suppose if you hadn't been, you know, there was a lot of people who hadn't been to a gig before, and they thought, "Oh, it's all over," you know. And I said to Ken, "It's not over, it's not over. She'll come back for an encore," you know. And so it went all quiet and everything. And then Ariana Grande came back for like an encore, and she was decked out all in black and everything, and she performed "Dangerous Woman" and everything, and the place went crazy, and it was singing and dancing, all hugging and everything, and it was just this beautiful, beautiful moment, etc. And then finally the song finished, and, you know, Ariana Grande went off stage, and the lights come up. You know, the lights came up, and we kind of knew that this was the end of the show. This was the end of the show, and we were standing up the top and everything, and the people to our left had gone a bit earlier, and they'd already gone down to the stairs, etc., and they kind of disappeared, and people were standing up and milling to go down. And I was looking at Mackenzie, and he was looking at me, and we were just feeling really good and smiling, and we were walking down the stairs, and all of a sudden, boom! And that kind of echo, because a big vacuum, you know, big space, this boom sort of echoed around the auditorium, and there was like a initial sort of silence, just 3 or 4 seconds. There was nothing, and then we could smell concrete. It was very strange. We could smell concrete, and then we looked down, and there were like hundreds of people sort of who were milling towards the entrance here, which is 206 here. We're moving here, and then they were running that way, and then they sort of stopped, and they started running the other way, and we were standing up here, and everyone was still moving away, and I said, "Oh, I think the seating must have collapsed. Ken's, I think the seating's collapsed." And we looked over, and we could see all this smoke and this smell of concrete right down below us on the right-hand side. And then there was like screaming and pandemonium and everything, and people just kept walking away. And I said to Mackenzie, "Don't move, stop." we're not going anywhere. People kept walking away and we just stood up there, we stayed up there, and we did not move. And people slowly, it seemed, no time, we couldn't sort of work out any sort of timing or anything. People just started disappearing, and before we knew it, we were like the only people left up on the on that sort of seating level. There was no one there. We were just looking down, and it was empty. It was getting empty, and we looked over and we saw this lady, and we looked over, and she was bleeding, and Kenzie said, and we just didn't know what was happening. We really didn't. So we walked down a little bit to this level, and we heard this sort of guy say, ladies and gentlemen, there's no need to panic. We just a nice orderly file out, please. Very, I was videoing a little bit of that and everything. And I thought, something's going on here, something really bad going on here, and the seating hadn't gone down, etc. And so we sort of walked down to this level, and we were on our own, and there was no one talking to us, and there was no sort of attendants and everything talking to us. And we walked down to a level, and we saw this door, and we waited. And I didn't know it. We just wait. We're going to wait. We're going to stay up here. But we felt this sort of shudder underneath us, etc. It was crazy. And then we came to this door, and there was like an entrance, or like an exit it was, on this level, and we didn't know what to do and everything. And then we saw this lady with a daughter who was about 8 and a son who was about 12. And she said, where do we go? She arrived from nowhere. So where do we go? What do we do? And I said, we don't know what to do and everything. She said, I think I'm going to go through these doors. I'm going to go out. So she went out to these doors for about 4 or 5 seconds. Then she ran back and she said, don't go down that way, don't go that way, don't go that way. There are body bits everywhere. And the daughter was crying her eyes out and everything. And she said, what do I do? And I said, I don't know, you should just go that way. So, she just sort of disappeared and everything. And all of a sudden I saw some attendants sort of coming down the stairs, and he was going, you've got to get out, sir, you've got to get out. And I said, where? He said, down those stairs. And Mackenzie said to the guy, we're not going down there. The lady just said, there's bodies down there. He said, you've got to go down there. So we're not going down there. We're not going down there. So the guy, he walked down these stairs, and he went through the doors, and he came back a few seconds later, really apologising, ashen. He said, we got to find another way out. We got to find another way out. So we walked that way, which was sort of to our right. We're walking down. He said, we'll find another way out. And then they sort of disappeared. And I said, come on, Kens, we'll go down these stairs. So we walked down these stairs and everything. And we walked down, and we opened the door. And as we opened the door, there was this room, and there were just bodies. And so we closed that door. We closed the door, and we turned right. And we went down, and we hit the kind of like the reception floor area, and as we opened the door, there's like a white marble-y white floor, and there was just shoes thrown everywhere and splattered blood everywhere on all the floor, and it was silence. We couldn't hear anything. There was no one around and everything, and we just saw this splattered blood on the floor. We saw shoes everywhere, and as we were going out, we looked to our left, and we saw that, well, like half a body or a torso or something, and it had like a black cover or some sort of cover over it. I said, come on, Kens. And we turned right, and we walked out, and there were shoes, and we walked past where the merchandise sort of stand had been earlier on, and there was those doors that we actually had entered 3 or 4 hours before. And we walked out, and as we walked out, there was police and ambulances and people crying and screaming, and absolute mayhem, So we're walking out, so keep going, and we were calm. We weren't freaking out or anything. It was just really, really calm this way as we walked down the stairs. But this is where the train station was and everything, and it was crazy over there. We walked that way, and then I realised that something bad had happened. So we just headed towards our hotel. We stopped off. It must have been about 10:45, 10:50 now. We stopped off, got some water and everything, and then I sort of text no, then I think I put something on Facebook very quickly. Something horrible's happened at the Ariana Grande concert, not sure what, but something, but we're all right. And then my colleague sort of texts me, what the hell's going on? Then my friend from San Diego, Derek, sort of Facebooked me and everything. And then I phoned my wife and said, look, babes, we're okay. Not sure what the hell's going on, but we're heading back to the hotel. I'll phone you in a minute. Then the phone battery was dead, etc. So we got back to the hotel, and there was people already there from the concert and everything. And then, I mean, then it really kicked off, then we went on Twitter and see what was going on, and we saw some really horrible images that, that you can imagine, etc., of what was going on and everything. Phoned my wife up, plugged it in, charged the battery, phoned my wife and said, hey, we're okay. And we just sat in the hotel room and just watching what was going on Twitter and social media, and there's all kinds of nasty stuff going on there, really. And we sat in our room, really, and we talked to my son, who was in university in Nottingham, fine. Spoke to my friend from San Diego, who called me, and just generally sort of huddled, really. And so we were thinking about this, and I was thinking, crikey, we didn't know at that time what was going on. We just knew that we had got away, and we just sat it out, really. And all night we didn't sleep, and we sort of fell into a little bit of sleep, and then we woke up again. And in the morning, obviously, it was all over the media and everything, and it was just, just really scary, really. And we just, we had a cup of tea, got in the car and drove home. We just drove home, and arrived back, and it was kind of scary, really, just getting back home, really, because 24 hours before, we said goodbye to Mummy, goodbye to my wife, and as did others 24 hours earlier, but they never came home. And we did. And most people did come home. 20,000 went home somewhere, back to some kind of life and everything. But our life in the last month or so has been really tough. It really has been tough. And, we're getting by. And you do get by, and you saw, you finally hear that, 22 were killed on the 22nd. And you try to talk about it, and you say, well, what one of the best things in the most horriblest way that came out of this is that my son and I shared it together, because there's no way, if, whether it's, psychiatrists or, sort of health social workers, there's no way they can really say, oh, I know what you mean, because you couldn't mean it. You turn left and you see stuff, we saw stuff. So for me, being able to, and Mackenzie and I don't talk about this that often, but he has constant sort of nightmares. I was having nightmares, but if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. I was there, he was there. He supports me, I support him. But it's tough, my wife obviously thinks about saying goodbye to us on that Monday morning, and the fact that she may never saw us again. That's really spooky. I think, our other kids and close sort of family kind of put it in the background and thought, well, they're here, let's get on with it. But it's been tough, and I think it's still going to be tough, and we've thrown ourselves into our work, and we support each other, and we've taken advice from school, have been great, and from from specialists who say, look, you just need to surround yourself with love and a familiar environment. You don't need any sort of shrink or counselling at this time. And that might come, that might be needed in the future. But I think we're all right. But it was a horrible time, and I just hope that we can, we can get through and move on really. And it was a beautiful thing that a couple of weeks later, when Ariana Grande and all her friends came together to do the One Love Manchester gig, we decided we didn't want to do that. We sat on that sofa on that Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and watched the gig, and it was beautiful. And we could have gone, because we were offered tickets, etc. But we just sat on that sofa and did a lot of crying, and just sort of reflected really on what that moment really, the encore, the Dangerous Woman song, the lights going up, and hey, perfect, let's go home, let's go back to the hotel. And then that kind of boom, and that smell of concrete. And really, that's it. That's our journey, and that started sort of 2 years hence, when we were watching those TV programs, and then we got the black and white poster, and then we bought the tickets, and then we had the tunes and the countdown to the 22nd of May 2017.